Welcome back to Beyond the Lesson Plans, where relationships are better than worksheets. We're your hosts, Erin
and Lora.
And today we're tackling learning styles. What are they? How to find yours? And are they a myth?
Awesome. This is exciting. We did a lot of research for this one, so we'll see. I think one of the biggest things that we researched was that you'll probably have more than one.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like a little Venn diagram of them.
Yeah.
You've got all of them in circles and then they overlap.
Yeah.
So one of the first things that we discovered is that there is a acronym called VARC, and it stands for visual, auditory, reading, writing, and kinesthetic. So we're going to start with visual. Go ahead, Erin.
I like it.
Yeah.
So visual is interesting. This was a very interesting thing to research. I'll just say that. Okay. So it says here, visual, this child thrives when information is presented through images, diagrams, written text rather than oral instruction. The classic book learner, and they may struggle with long verbal lectures.
Yep. They love their maps, their graphs, their patterns, their shapes, drawing it out. So they notice the small things. Like if there's a misprint or a typo in their text, they're gonna pinpoint it. They're gonna point it out. They often prefer to observe a task being done before trying it themselves. And they may appear like they're daydreaming, but they're really just processing things. They're typically good at organizing their space. They might be a neatnik, and they remember things better when they read them silently or see them written on a whiteboard. They may struggle with spelling.
Oh, that's me. And they may appear to be quiet or daydreamy.
Yeah. So you'd say you were a visual learner?
No. But that's part of the Venn diagram.
There you go. Do you have one of your children you would say was a visual learner or partly a visual learner? I would say my boys are do it, watch somebody do it and then do it kind of learners, but then that might also be considered kinesthetic.
Okay.
I definitely notice every typo, but that might cross over as well. I don't know. That might just be type A.
That's why this might be a myth.
Exactly. Yes. Now, did you have any auditory learners? This person learns better when they take information in by listening and speaking. Saying things out loud helps them understand the concept. So like dictation, narration, kind of, they want to tell you a story kind of thing.
Well, we did a lot of that with Charlotte Mason, was big into narration and retelling and,
So auditory.
Yeah.
So they might learn best with audiobooks, lectures, read alouds, podcasts. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
They might love documentaries.
Yeah.
They often talk to themselves when they're processing information. That is an interesting one to me, because I never really thought about that, but repeating what they're learning kind of out loud.
Yeah, reading their notes out loud, narrating back.
Yeah. And sometimes you'll just look at people and their lips will be moving.
Yeah.
And they're not really saying anything, but they must be processing. Maybe they're an auditory learner. They can repeat stories, instructions verbatim after hearing them one time. So I have a kid who can repeat comedy after just hearing it once. And it's just funny to me that how much they remember of that.
Is it just comedy?
No, he pretty much can remember what he sees anywhere. Like he can watch a YouTube video, go do it.
Okay.
Thing. I guess that's not audio, but he can listen. He has definitely a mix of these different styles, but that one always cracks me up because he just pulls them off at the funniest times. They might be sensitive to sound and easily distracted by background noise. So I guess they would probably need a pretty quiet learning space. They might not do well at the table with their 7 siblings. They may need their own little spot in the corner. They enjoy long conversations, and they tend to be more musical. They remember lyrics, jingles, and they have kind of a natural sense of rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of fascinating too. I have my oldest daughter who definitely remembers jingles and lyrics. I kind of remember tunes, but not lyrics.
Have you ever heard, like, let's say you're in the grocery store and you hear a song from the 80s that you haven't heard in 30 years, and all of a sudden you know every single lyric, and you're like, where did that come from?
Yes. Deep, deep down. Yes. But more the 90s, not so much the 80s. Oh, too funny. Reading and writing. They're often called the linguistic learner. This child lives in the library. While other kids want to build a volcano or listen to an audiobook, this child wants to see words on the page and put their own thoughts back onto paper. So they might be the one that's always writing short stories, or they want to write a novel when they get bigger. There's a list maker. Do you have a child who is a list maker, party planner? They love planners, checklists, calendars. They write a checklist to pack for a trip, or they write every day they have a little list of things I need to do. No,
I do, but I would not consider myself a reading and writing learner.
Okay.
So
that's part of that Venn diagram.
Yeah.
You got a little bit of it.
Got a little bit of it.
They are note takers. They love bullet points, outlines, and definitions. I can think of one particular home team mom who comes to mind when we talk about this, and she has a bullet journal, and she's very much into the crafts, but also bullet journaling.
Is that Kim?
Yeah.
And I only know that because I remember on Facebook, she was like, I lost my bullet journal. And I had to Google what is a bullet journal.
Yeah. It's the way she organizes, I guess, but I probably should talk to her about it because I don't know too much about it. I know she taught a class at co-op about it.
Okay.
But they're the diary journal keepers. I do have a child who's the diary journaler. My sister's very much a journaler.
Yeah.
They love workbooks. So they would thrive with
your traditional learning style.
Yes. They often prefer a quiet corner with a book over a group discussion. So they're not going to be the ones in debate class that are just fighting it out for their opinion.
Yeah.
They like to read the entire instruction manual of any project before touching the pieces.
I don't know. I don't honestly know anybody that does. I do a little bit.
I actually do read the instruction manual. Bob usually relies on me to read the instruction manual while he does it.
Nice.
But then I get blamed if it's wrong.
Of course.
Because I read that wrong. All right. Then we have our kinesthetic learner. And I've learned to say this since the last episode, so that's good.
I think you were saying it correctly last time.
Oh my goodness. I just felt like I was fumbling on that one when I was listening. This person learns best by doing. They might be considered your ADHD child. They cannot sit still for more than 10 minutes. They need to move and process through their muscles and their sense of touch. So this is the kid that if you go to the store and it says do not touch, they are definitely touching.
But you know what's interesting is I was reading a book. Even as adults, we always touch.
Yes.
When you see a shirt that you like, you go and touch it. You know, there's a bowl that you like. Oh, I'm going to touch it. You touch it. We touch everything.
It's a sensory.
Yeah.
It feeds our senses.
Yeah.
Do you have any fabric you cannot stand the
feel
of?
Microfiber.
Okay. Yes. It sticks to your fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another, I don't know if it's polyester or what, but it's kind of
Sherpa to me is a lot, especially after you wash it.
Uh-huh.
Who wants that?
Yeah. Yep. There's just certain things I don't wear. I'm wearing more and more cotton these days. I've heard it's good for you.
Yeah. Helps out with that menopause.
So this kinesthetic learner, they're constantly in motion. You might have them doing math on a workout ball because they're trying, or trampoline, and they're doing, they're reciting their math facts to you. If you have a kid who's having a hard time memorizing their math facts, it might be worth putting a game on the trampoline of, you call out 3 times 7 and they have to find the number 21 on the trampoline, or, make a game out of learning and they will pick it up much faster. They're the ones that are the fidgeters. Did you have a fidgeter?
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. I think we all have fidgeters. Yeah. To the outsider, they look like they're not really paying attention. They're distracted, but in reality, the movement helps keep their brain focused.
Wasn't there a movie maybe back in the 90s with a girl with a spelling bee and she was jump roping as she was spelling the words?
Yes, I do remember.
Yeah.
I did not watch it in the 90s, but I watched it not too long ago.
Okay.
It was a good movie.
Yeah.
They maybe talk with their hands. They act out their stories. If they're going to tell you about an event that happened to them and their friends out in the yard, they're going to show you how it happened. They're not just going to tell you.
They're not going to write it down. Now you read it.
No, not at all. Nope. I would say most boys are this type of learner. I think that my boys are definitely a mix of this. Definitely something that we had to keep them moving, or we had to take a lot of frequent breaks to get them, okay, you got 5 minutes to go outside and play. And then we come back, or while you're riding your scooter up and down the driveway, you're going to tell me your spelling words.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, just to keep them going. Did you have any reflection on kinesthetic of anything that you did to keep them focused?
No, but while I was doing this, I did think of, this may be where you use a combination of all learning styles to really reinforce stuff. The spelling curriculum that we used was called Spelling Power. And if you misspelled a word, there was like a 7-step program that you had to do. You had to write the word, spell the word out verbally, check and make sure you did it correctly. Then they would have you do something else. And then they wanted you to have like a big tote of salt or sugar and then write the word in the salt or sugar.
Like a sensory bin.
Yeah. Or on a textured quilt or blanket, something that you could actually feel.
Okay.
But it was interesting. I was like, oh, that's Spelling Power, where they kind of took all of your learning styles to really reinforce that.
Did it work?
I think so. I really enjoyed Spelling Power. It was a great little spelling curriculum.
Yeah. And it's one book for all the years, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. So it's a one-stop buy.
Yeah.
You're not buying spelling program after spelling program.
Yeah.
I do like when a curriculum reinforces with different learning styles. It's nice because if you're not sure, maybe, the child's a hybrid model of different learning styles, and you're trying to really get something in their brain, like math facts. I think math facts, you just have to know at some point. The basics, you get up into algebra and stuff, that becomes more maybe career focused of what you're going into. But I still think you need to know how to add, subtract, multiply, divide. And I do think that incorporating multiple methods is a good idea. In our research, we found out that 87% of people identify with more than one of the VARC model.
Yeah.
So they had different little subset.
I think that's where, I think that's where people pull into the myth of the learning style, because you can be so many different things or learn so many different ways. And then each subject is taught best with different learning styles.
Okay. So explain the myth. Why do people think learning styles are a myth?
So apparently there was some guy in New Zealand who kind of made up the learning styles and just ran with it and everyone loved it. And then now they're doing research saying that they're absolutely fictitious. Really? But it may be a placebo effect, but I can definitely tell you that I'm going to learn better by watching someone do it and then doing it versus reading something. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I don't believe it's a myth,
Right.
but I do believe that, yes, you can take, like with the spelling power, you can take a subject and combine all of the learning styles to reinforce and to teach.
Right.
And, someone gave the example of music. It's easier to listen to someone play music and to show you how to play it on the piano versus just reading the music, right? So I don't know.
Yeah. I think I remember when I was in public school in like 3rd grade, we had a spelling curriculum, and it made spelling so much easier. And I remember that they always said, people common misspelled words like dessert and desert. And one way that they kind of put a little spin on it, I don't know if it's not really a poem or it's just a little, that dessert has a double serving of S's.
Mm-hmm.
So then you knew that dessert was spelled with 2 S's because
Mm-hmm.
it had a double portion of S's,
Mm-hmm.
versus desert. And I thought that, and then I remember we had to learn how to spell together. And they had a little picture of I'm visualizing it right now in my brain, of a little girl, and the mom was to get her.
Yeah.
We're going to get her is part of together.
Yeah.
And so they would break it down into different little things that I still think of when I'm writing.
Yeah.
And Wednesday, I could
Yeah.
never spell Wednesday. So they broke it down to Wednesday. And I was like, oh, I got it. It was just different ways of kind of breaking down words.
There's a math program to teach you your math facts like that, like Mr. and Mrs. 8. They're shaped like snowmen, and it tells a whole story in the relationship between it's been so long since I've watched this, so I'm going to butcher it. But like Mr. or Mrs. 8, what is 8 times 8? And then it shows the relationship between like the 8 and the 1 and 2 and 3, and it creates a story.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time in my life, I was like, I know my math facts. After watching that with my kids.
I got it down.
I think it was called like Times Tales,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, but what's funny about that is, again, on Facebook in our co-op group, one of the moms was like talking about how she's been tutoring, and she was having a hard time with one of the kids getting it, and showed them this Times Tales, and they got it instantly. And it was just so like she just was like, no, let's just memorize these math facts. Like, this does not work for me, the Times Tales.
So there's the conflict of the parents' learning style or the tutors' learning style versus the child's learning style. And I do agree that sometimes it's hard to teach outside of your own learning style.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you have to really dig deep and get creative. If you're a reading, writing learner, and you can just read a book and learn it, and then you've got a kid who's kinesthetic and they got to move, you're going to be reading to them while they're on the trampoline.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to get it.
Yeah.
They're just not. So it is interesting to see how even as adults, we have to adapt and kind of modify our own natural instincts. I don't think that learning styles are probably a myth. I think that you're definitely more than one. But I think you can bridge many, actually. Mm-hmm. And I think it maybe depends on what you're doing, as to which learning style you tap at that time. But I definitely don't think that they are a myth. But there are little other options where, like, an observatory would be a visual and a kinesthetic, or nature learners who they learn best outside.
Mm-hmm.
They might be visual and kinesthetic. There's also the social linguistic learners who maybe they're a visual learner, but they're also a reading, writing learner.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just many different types, and there's many types that are going to overlap. But you finding your best and learning to teach within your child's best is going to really produce success.
Yeah. And you think about boys have a harder time in school. That's the traditional style. You're sitting doing workbooks. And then when parents pull their boys out, it's like they just thrive.
Oh man. It's like a light bulb.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, all this time, every day I was getting messages from the principal or or the teacher of, Johnny got 3 check marks today,
Yeah.
and so I have to reach out and tell
Yeah.
you he was misbehaving. But now that if you just kind of work within their capacity, that they're soaking in that
Yeah.
information so fast that they're really catching up and moving beyond maybe if they were considered behind,
Yeah.
So they really do thrive in the right learning style.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say yours, if you had to pick 2, what would you say?
Oh, well, that's a great question. I wasn't prepared. Okay, so where's my little sheet so I can look back? It's VARC.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, I'm going to tell you honestly, I am probably a equal pie chart of all of them.
You think so?
I do.
Because I know like you have a lot of crafty hobbies.
Yeah.
And so if you are going to, you love to cook. So if you're going
I'm going to watch someone do it and then I just take off and do it.
Okay. So you're not pulling out a grandma's cookbook and
I do sometimes, but I prefer to watch someone do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know you love Alton Brown.
I do love Alton Brown.
So then you're painting.
Uh-huh.
Are you going to follow a painting or are you going to just sit down and visualize that painting and paint?
No, I'll probably follow along and like learn things as I go. And then, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Get the basics down.
That was such a funny mom's night this last.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my goodness. So if you don't know, in our co-op, we try to do a monthly mom's night. And so I think it was the month of February.
Yeah.
Or February or March. We decided we were going to do a follow the Bob Ross painting. Oh my goodness. I think we had 13 of us here.
Yeah.
And we were all, it was hilarious.
Everyone did such a good job.
They did such a good job, but it was just funny watching the different moms because one had paint up her arms. Like she was using
she was mixing. She was using her arms as a palette. It was great.
She was mixing mixing on her arm and then putting it on her board. We were constrained by space, but
yeah,
we made it work. And everybody's paintings really came out pretty good, but it took us like an hour and a half to do a 30-minute video.
Yeah. Well, you got to pause, rewind, catch up.
So it was an interesting time, but so you would say you're going to watch it and then you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about you?
I would say I'm definitely visual. I'm definitely going to notice I don't know that I'm a classic book learner though, because my mind wanders when I'm writing, like my mind wanders unless I'm like really engaged in the story. But if I'm trying to read nonfiction, I really struggle. I can listen to nonfiction while I'm gardening or something, but I really don't like to read nonfiction.
I don't either.
So
there were a couple books I got into maybe in my like 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
And I read like maybe 4 of the series, but it's just not my thing.
Yeah. I really enjoy listening to a book while I'm doing something. So I guess that's an audio, but I like to visually see somebody do it. And
yeah, because, so would it combine 2 things if you want to listen to an audiobook while you're doing something? Because you're fidgeting, right?
Yeah, so maybe I'm kinesthetic a little bit of I want to move while I'm doing it. But I don't know. I don't like to sit and take the time to read a book. Yeah. I guess maybe that's my upbringing, that you're always supposed to be doing something. Mm-hmm. So I have a hard time just sitting and reading. But if I can listen to it while I'm outside mowing the grass or doing whatever, or cooking dinner or whatever, then I really do enjoy that. But probably I would say kinesthetic and auditory, just with all the different, I don't know. I think there are certain parts of me that I love a list. Mm-hmm. Like if even my kids, they still ask me, we're going on vacation. Okay. Can you tell me a list of things to take? Because that's how we used to pack. They would go get their little list from me, and then
Yeah.
they would pass it on to the next sibling, and then they would pack, and then they'd bring me their suitcase, and Mom double checked my suitcase.
Okay.
And then, so I guess I have that element of me. And then I like audio. I like to listen to books, or I don't listen to a lot of other stuff. Music, I love to listen. I do have a musical aptitude, but I don't play a lot of instruments anymore. But I don't know. I could see all of the above. What would you say John is? Your husband?
Ooh, I think he's just a genius. No.
Of course, but
So I don't even know. He's just bright. I don't know.
So if he had to learn something new, well, at work they send him to conferences or whatever, right? So,
yeah. I mean, that's book learning, right? But
then don't they show them too? Like,
I'm sure. I don't know. I heard they have a lab there.
yeah.
I don't know.
So I don't know. Our husbands are different. Bob can watch and do.
I'm just trying to think of when we have, we're trying to install something or put something together. He opens the manual. I don't know if he pre-reads it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think he just kind of does it as he goes.
Yeah. Bob's definitely not open the manual at all.
Oh, yeah.
No, not until it's not working right. Maybe. I remember there was a time he used to be a trim carpenter, and he used to work in our barn a lot. And he had it was either a sander or a router or some tool that he had taken apart, and he was struggling to get it back together. And so it was before cell phones, so you couldn't take a picture as you went, kind of thing. And so I went out to the barn, and he's like, yeah, I just can't get this back together. He goes, I have all these extra parts. And he was trying to use it with the extra parts still on the table. And I said, honey, those aren't extra parts. Those came with it. They have to go back. So I ended up having to take it apart and put it back together. But he was not going back. He was just going to throw it away and get a new one.
I think that's probably what I would do.
But, he's a trip. But, all right.
Yeah. So, some interesting things that I did kind of see, like we just talked about a second ago, when the kids are struggling in school and you pull them out and then they're thriving. That's why I just don't think that it's a myth. It just can't be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so dumb. I just can't do this. Well, let's look at a different way. Let's find a different way to learn the information.
Right.
A different way to study. Color-coded notes. I remember years ago, my cousin got like a recorder, and she would record herself saying spelling words or reading things and then listening to herself back, and that helped her learn. Mm-hmm. So
I know a lot of people, they'll even draw, maybe they're learning something about the cells, and they'll draw the whole cell, and they'll draw all the little pieces. Mm-hmm. And, I think there is something about using your senses of, okay, I see it, I write it, mm-hmm. I touch it, mm-hmm. I trace it, it's just using all of those senses. If you can, maybe I've heard some statistics or factoids of, like, if you eat a certain thing when you're studying and then you eat it before your test, you help recall information. I don't have any factoid for that, but I mean, it just, whatever works is. But
have you ever smelled something and go, oh, preschool?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. My husband does that all the time. Yeah. Like, this smells like my grandma.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So, let's say you pull your kid out and you're like, I'm really into the learning styles. I really want to support my child, in their learning journey. Do you know where someone might go to get, to figure out their learning styles? I do.
Well, good. Because that was not something that I looked up, and I'm glad you did.
So you can observe their natural tendencies.
Yeah, that's what I would say, is I'd kind of give them something to learn and just kind of watch how mm-hmm. they learn it. Like, if, I don't know, maybe a Tinker Crate or a Lego project of something, and see, do they pull out the manual? Do they look it up on the computer of somebody that has done it, or do they just dive in?
Yeah. There's a Scholastic Learning Style quiz. We'll link that down in the show notes. And then the HSLDA also has their own quiz on their website.
Oh, fascinating.
The HSLDA is like packed full of
little tidbits of things. Yeah. That's great. We should take it and then update. We should update next time of what we tested up as.
I didn't even think about doing that.
Yeah.
You can experiment with different teaching aids and you can ask them directly, how do you like to learn and what helps you remember?
Yeah. Because I remember we got on the Matthew C train for a while, and my oldest had started with Rebecca, and then he got to the point where he was, I don't know, I think he hit a little wall at one point, and he started struggling with a little bit. And so we're like, oh, we need to switch to Matthew C. He needs a mastery approach, not a spiral approach, which we'll talk about that sometime soon. But it was just, he hated it because he had to pull out this bin of manipulatives and he had to build his, 375 or whatever it was at the time. And then I don't want to do that. I just want to write it down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but the curriculum says you have to do it this way.
That's why relationships are better than worksheets.
Yes. We were not sacrificing that. So we moved on and he went back. I think he went back to Rebecca up until high school. So, it just worked for him.
Mm-hmm.
It was very, very thorough, but it was very, very, it just
was Rebecca a spiral or mastery or?
It is spiral.
Okay.
They do a lot of review. So we would do a couple review, and if he had it, he had it. It was just something we could slash, but if he knew it, it was done.
Okay.
But Matthew C is mastery, and you have to conquer those math facts. So I do say it helped with his math facts, but it seemed like after a year of using that he had forgotten, because the way Matthew C works is you do addition only, then you do subtraction only, then you do multiplication only. And I felt like he was in his world, he was losing the addition and subtraction because he was focusing on multiplication.
Yeah. Where
with Rebecca, it was maybe a new concept introduced, but then there was still a few of all the others to keep you up on it. So it just kind of, it just didn't work for him.
Yeah.
It works for many, but it didn't work for him. And he just hated having the extra step of having to build it. But it did help him with, place value, that kind of thing. But it just was not his forte.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think that's kind of all my little notes.
Excellent. So next time we're going to talk about curriculum styles and how they coincide with learning styles. So that will be a good lead in of finding out your kid's learning style and then taking that and running it and matching it to a curriculum style. So that will be very helpful. And then we'll update you. We're going to go take that test and we're going to figure out our learning styles because we kind of think we know what we are.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So check the show notes for all the little details of the show and the links. And if you have questions or comments, go ahead and email us
at beyondthelessonplans2@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And we're also, you can listen to us on iHeartRadio.
Yeah.
Amazon.
Spotify.
We're working on YouTube.
Yeah.
That one's a little more complicated. But join us next time.
Okay. Sounds good.